Hi, how's it going? Griff here. I hope you're keeping as well as you can in this strange time. I'm going to do a little video for you here on the writing of Afterglow. There's obviously loads and loads of streams going on with bands, and we wanted to try and do something a little bit different. So I'm just going to talk you through how I wrote the song Afterglow and try and give you just an insight into stuff you wouldn't usually hear in interviews or get a chance to see or whatever. So I'm going to go from the writing of this song, which kind of started here in my house, in my kitchen, taking it from this stage to bringing it into the lads and practicing with it and bringing it up to where we got it to, and then take it into the studio and recording it to the final version that you actually hear. So I'm going to, as usual with me, kind of started with a guitar riff. So a common thing that you'd hear on the guitar is a finger picking style is like this. So I had this sort of finger style piece, and it's not going to break down any barriers, that's for sure. So I just want to try and turn it on its head. So instead of doing I wanted to do the busier part first, which is the, and that's where the riff came out of. So that was literally the spark that kind of lit the fire. That's exactly how it started, mistakes and all, exactly like that. So it kind of began from there, and I actually have I've got the very first recording. I went back through my phone, and when I'm writing a song, I record absolutely everything as I go. I find that essential because I just forget everything otherwise. So here's the very first recording I have on my phone. Different key, so that was almost like the birth of it in my phone, where I was like, okay, that like something kind of caught me. I was like, I like that. So from there, the next thing I typically end up doing is I end up does a melody or anything like that come into my head. So here was the next recording I had in my phone, and you start to kind of hear the song come together a little bit. I really enjoy listening back to these recordings because I'll find some part that never made it into the song. So that little da, 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 never made it into the song, but I like it. So some bits, it's interesting to go back and hear what went from the very first like hour of writing this song onto the record, so you can hear the bits that make it and don't make it. So this is kind of the whole point of what I'm going to go through today. It's not talking really about what the song is about. It's kind of like the real organic where it came from. And how we built it up from point A to point Z, essentially. So this was another real interesting thing I found here. This song had a completely different bridge to start with. So the bridge part at the moment, there's a good story behind it actually. It goes like this, right? So I had a couple of old bridge parts that I wasn't particularly enthusiastic about. So I was at home one day and I had to go somewhere. I remember I had about 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes before I had to leave the house. So I was like, okay, I'll write a bridge. I got 3 minutes. If I can write a bridge, great. If I can't, I only had 3 minutes, so whatever. And that's how I wrote the actual bridges in the song. So I would have figured out these chords. And I was like, okay, I like that. And I would have just sung something. And I did da 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 da. So I probably did that to start with, and then went back and wrote the lyrics afterwards. But it's a really interesting thing if you do write music or anything like that. It's a really cool thing to do sometimes, where it takes the pressure off completely, because you're like, I got 2 minutes, I gotta leave the house. And sometimes like that can just snap your brain out of any thinking mode, and you just end up creating something really cool. But before that, I'm going to show you, this I think is the original bridge. This was mad, I kind of forgot all about this. I don't think the lads have ever heard this bridge. So here you go, out into the world. Some much more complicated guitar there. Exiting my orbit, you are heading original bridge. Never made it. Let's go crack. All right, I got a couple more I'm going to show you here. So, this is... Oh yeah, okay, I had an alternative chorus, which is go crack. I think this came from one of the ways, one thing I had on the guitar that I really enjoyed playing was this. So that was a kind of a vibe I had going on the guitar, and it led me to this different chorus. So here's a completely different chorus I had for the song. In your afterglow, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba. A lot of bums going on there. It never made it. All right, and here's the original chorus as I first ever sang it, I believe. In your afterglow. So it's a lot more legato. You can hear it in the one that made it on. So if I just, hopefully that's of some interest to someone out there. All right, here's the first band recording I have of this song. So this was bringing it from my little room inside, and to me this is when it becomes a Hermitage Green song. You have to kind of let it loose a little bit. You got to let the lads throw whatever at it. We play around with it. We kind of mess with different things with it. That's where it becomes a Hermitage Green song. I think allowing people to kind of get involved in it is very essential. Something I learned along the years to be a bit less stringent about over the course of my writing. So here you go. There's a very annoying metronome in the middle of this. I hope you enjoy it. So it has quite a different kind of a feel. It's a little bit more rootsy, I suppose. Here is the song as it is now.
I'll show you what you mean to me. Come lie with me.
So it's a different sort of a vibe, obviously. The kind of shuffly stuff that Darragh is doing is it's pretty cool, but it was, I suppose it wouldn't have lent itself for the kind of area we were going at, but it's really interesting to look back at. So that was a band version. I'm going to try and get through this fairly fast here. I won't keep you all day. So the next things I did was at that stage, we'll kind of start looking at the different instruments we can maybe add ourselves before even taking it to a studio. What are the cool kind of stuff we can bring and that we can add to the song that will kind of build up the sound. And kind of interestingly enough, some of these sounds actually made it onto the record itself. So this is what we had. Let me just get these up and running. So this was the initial kind of couple of sounds that I stuck together to go along with it. So you'll recognize them. Especially that top one. As it turns out, I'm going to show you here in a second, I have the actual track down here. And there it is. Glass strings, that exact arpeggiator actually made it onto the track, which is really interesting. I wouldn't have expected it to, but there you go. So I had that one. I had a couple of more where I put on some arpeggiators. This was a cool one, actually. And it really lent itself, I suppose, to recording of the songs. It just had given it a little vibe to start with. So that was where we were at, basically going into studio. That was all the stuff that we had. So if we come down now, I'm going to try and just fly through this real quickly. I'm going to show you some interesting stuff in the track that you may not have heard before. So let me get the drums going on their own. Let me see. Here's a chorus part. I'm going to... And here's some drums building up. So this is everything that ended up on the track. This is how you literally build up a track as you go along. So that's all the lads' drum stuff. The next, I'm going to show you some of Dan's lead bits, which are really cool. So he did a lead guitar and he did a dobro. Just kind of played the lead line. And he's got this as well. So this one's interesting. The Ebo. Sounds like a cello. It's cool. There you go. And then if I keep going through, so we're kind of into keys world, there's a few bits and pieces that you probably wouldn't have heard before, like this Rhodes line here is really cool. These are the type of things that you don't really hear all that loudly on the track, but they just fill a little bit of space, they give a little bit of texture to the whole thing. And I got some synth lines. The arpeggiator is actually back here. Oh, there goes the system overloading. Let me come back here. So that was the original one I had in it, and also this pad I also had. So this is kind of how we build up the track in the studio. From there we're into vocals. So you got all Dan. It's pretty much Barry and Dan, they left me out. Terrible. Barry's lead. But I think the standout feature for the vocals really in the song is definitely the vocoder. That's where all the crack happens. Oh. Alright, there you go. So let me just stick on where that actually is in the track, is this one.
Let me be the first to say
you just about pick out the vocoder.
I love you, dear. That love.
So that's how we built up the track. So I won't go on all day. I could talk about this forever, but I'll try not to bore you. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed it. Look, if there's any questions you have about it, if anyone is learning any parts and you want to know any parts, just hit us up. We're happy to teach any guitar, bass, drums, whatever you want to do. Hopefully that was of interest to some. And thanks a million to anyone who's listened and downloaded and all that. It really means the world to us, especially at this kind of period with all this stuff going on. It's the only way we can kind of get by. So please continue to request it, and thanks a million for the support. Stay safe.